Good morning. Welcome to the 2020 Orange County Community Conference. My name is Jason Reynolds. I'm the manager of the Neighborhood Services Division. We endeavor to engage and strengthen neighborhoods in the neighborhoods division. We're doing things a little bit differently this year. In a typical year, we would be at the convention center. We would all be together enjoying a wonderful day of workshops, networking, community awards, vendors, and just greeting each other throughout this day. However, as we collectively adjust to life in the pandemic, we felt it was important to adjust the conference to ensure the residents of this community continue to be educated and stay informed about ongoing and important topics to them. So I'd like to welcome Mayor Jerry Demings, who's bringing a brief introduction to us this morning. You will hear from Mayor Demings more in depth later on in the Checking In with Mayor Demings session.
Hello, I'm Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the 25th Annual Orange County Community Conference. I would like to thank Jason Reynolds, manager of Orange County's Neighborhood Services, and his entire staff. They have done a tremendous job putting together this year's conference. Today's conference will provide residents an opportunity to learn about innovative ways to improve your neighborhood and stay informed from the comfort of your home. We have a great lineup of speakers and multiple ways for you to engage and share your comments. Each of you play an important role in our community, and your resilience is shining through during these challenging times. Our neighborhoods are the beating heart of our community. With your commitment, we will continue to improve the quality of life we enjoy and ensure that Orange County is safer and stronger. Thank you for being involved in your neighborhood, and have a great conference.
I'm so excited you decided to spend your morning with us. We realize that bringing this conference in an online format allows you to do that comfortably. College football hasn't yet started this morning, so you can sit comfortably. If you're a soccer fan, you might be watching games in England or Spain, Italy, or Germany. You can put this on your tablet and watch a soccer game on the other TV, because that's one of the beauties of doing this event today. Very shortly from now, you'll be hearing a keynote address, which will provide a unique perspective to the work you all are doing as community leaders. We have three very relevant and meaningful workshops, which I'll describe in a little bit more in depth. We hope you take full advantage of this conference. There's an abundance of information we want to share with you. And of course, we want you to spread this information, tell it to your friends and your neighbors and family members and the colleagues you interact with. I would now like to introduce our keynote speaker, Mr. Tim Ayers. He currently serves as the Executive Director of the West Lakes Partnership, a neighborhood-based community development organization in West Orlando. He previously served as Director of Grants for the Farm Share and as legislative advocate for the Florida American Heart Association and Small Business Manager for the National Chamber of Commerce. Tim's prior service in government includes stints with the Ohio House of Representatives as a legislative clerk and working with neighborhoods as the second youngest person elected in his hometown city council during the mid-1980s. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Tim Ayers.
Thank you, Jason. To Mayor Demings and his colleagues on the County Commission, to county staff and the fabulous community leaders throughout Orange County, I am honored to be your morning speaker at this annual Orange County Government Community Conference. It is a bittersweet gathering, as Jason mentioned, because many neighborhoods throughout Orange County have lost neighbors and friends because of the scourge of COVID-19. We honor their memory and applaud their community involvement throughout this county. This morning, let me start with a piece of great news. Despite our losses, Orange County neighborhoods are still resilient and are ready to face whatever challenges tomorrow may hold. I congratulate the leadership of Orange County and the city for not only uniting in the fight to protect residents against a common virus, but for doing so with a rigorous, research-based approach. And I applaud resident leaders for providing broad and comprehensive services throughout our neighborhoods, from food drives to picking up medicine and grocery for seniors, to door-to-door meal delivery services. Neighborhood organizations stepped up and met the test. Nevertheless, challenges do remain. In an August 2016 article by the Federal Reserve, most neighborhood meetings go like this. Held in most rec centers, you might find a city or county planner, a community organizer, a police officer, and of course, a dozen or so residents who constitute the neighborhood association. Likely agenda items include complaints about landlords, noisy teens, crime, speeding traffic, and every everyday problem that many neighborhoods face. Consider just a few unusual comments. We need to repair those abandoned homes and sell them to new homeowners. We need to decide what flowers to plant at the entry of the neighborhood. The traffic, crime, and drug problems must be brought to the attention of the police, the politicians, and the media. It's time to hold a press conference. As someone in community development sphere and who has sat at both sides of the table, when our neighborhoods emerge from COVID, may I offer 3 tips on what we can do to challenge and re-energize neighborhood leadership and strategy as we move into 2021. Number 1, neighborhoods are about people. As resident leaders, we have to think bigger and bolder in the post-COVID-19 era about our neighborhoods. The same old agenda is simply not good enough. If planting flowers at the neighborhood entry is dividing your neighborhood, your agenda is too small. If asked about what makes their neighborhood attractive when they first move into a neighborhood, many longtime residents say and speak about how neighborly the place was. They knew everyone on the block and how people paid attention to one another. The sidewalk of the shut-in and the senior was shoveled. The missing dog was quickly found. The locked-out child was given a place to stay until his or her parents came home. People saw themselves as buying a house and a neighborhood. Even though some of these memories are sometimes viewed through rose-colored glasses, it is true that most neighborhoods were originally desired because of their stability and friendliness. What should be the primary goal of our renewal strategy as we enter 2021 in your neighborhood? The answer is straightforward. Build confidence by your residents in the future of your community. Greater confidence is achieved when residents again feel pride in their homes and neighborhoods, and when real estate again sells and rents successfully, and when investment in homes and businesses again makes economic sense. Number 2, many of our neighborhoods still create and carry out programs on the basis of old census data, stale housing information, and out-of-date leadership programs. Old data often address concerns that are no longer applicable and overlook opportunities that can make the necessary difference in the revitalization of your neighborhood. For any neighborhood looking for data-driven approaches, partner with Polis Institute, an organization that assists neighborhood organizations throughout Orange County. Knowing exactly what is happening in your community is the best way to select and support strategies that effectively improve neighborhoods. With good data and clear benchmarks, your neighborhood and your allies can map their community's issues and know if they are succeeding to improve the position of the neighborhood. Number 3, start accentuating the positive in your neighborhood. Our resident organizations often believe resources come to those places where a need exists and not to places that are succeeding at the margin. But the view is often mistaken, especially when applied to neighborhoods at the margin. Public and private resources also come to places that offer potential and have a plan to initiate positive change. Touting neighborhood problems and challenges publicly typically has the unintended consequences of tagging the neighborhood as problem-ridden. I remember working with a neighborhood organization in Tennessee. That organization had a high crime problem. And they always talked about the crime problem at community meetings and in press releases that they would send out. And so that neighborhood inadvertently became tagged at no fault of the residents as having a high crime area. When you looked at the data, that was simply not true. But because they perceived crime was in their neighborhood, it was tagged that way. Meet quietly but effectively with city and county officials and staff to deal with the problems can produce results without harming a neighborhood's reputation. Positive strengths need to be shouted from the rooftop. Lastly, I've mentioned that I've sat on both sides of the table as a government official and as a resident representative. The one takeaway I have gained from that experience is that neighborhoods and community leaders who are prepared with resident-driven agendas command the attention and respect from local elected officials and staff. In every neighborhood association I have been a member of, we've adopted one strategy. I'm not suggesting that your neighborhood organization or your community organization do the same, but here's the strategy we adopted. We always selected one resident who was the noise maker, the tree shaker, who would make all kinds of demands that, quite frankly, would not be effective. And then we would select several residents, from our president on down to our executive committee, who would actually quietly work with county and city officials to make things happen in the neighborhood. Local elected officials and staff members can be your greatest cheerleaders from the sidelines, but ultimately, the direction of your neighborhood and community needs to come from you. As we end this unbelievable year and enter 2021 with some uncertainty, I remain confident that Orange County neighborhoods and community leaders, along with residents, will regain our creativity in establishing our community in the forefront of economic rebound throughout Orange County. Thank you for joining us today. Go neighborhoods, go community leaders. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tim. That was insightful, inspiring, motivating. We understand that you bring a unique perspective in that you've been on our side, I would say ours as local government, you've been in the elected official side, and you've been on the neighborhood side, which brings in all the three facets about how to improve neighborhoods. Again, thank you, Tim. We appreciate your time this morning. And residents and community leaders and nonprofit leaders, I hope that you were able to take some information from there and be able to implement it. Before we go too much further, I would like to recognize our sponsors for our community conference, the Florida Community Loan Fund and the OUC Reliable One. We continue to thank you for supporting our events, supporting our programs. Without our sponsors, events like these aren't possible. Thank you again, the Florida Community Loan Fund and OUC Reliable One. We have three very insightful and timely workshops for you this morning. I'll give you a quick run through from the day. Like I said, we have three workshops. At 9:35 is the Health Services Department serving our community. The Health Services Department works tirelessly to serve the community in many ways, including mitigating the socioeconomic impacts and health impacts from the coronavirus. This informative workshop will highlight the Health Services Department's vital role as a community navigates the global health impact. At 10:10, we will be checking in with Mayor Jerry L. Demings. Mayor Demings is finishing his second full year as mayor of Orange County. And although 2020 will be remembered because of the coronavirus, Mayor Demings is still moving forward with ensuring Orange County provides a quality of life that works for everyone. We'll hear from Mayor Demings about what's going on in 2020 and what's left to come. And at 10:45, Allison Rice, Senior Planner with the Neighborhood Services Division, will be talking in the community building while social distancing. Obviously, the pandemic has forced many people to withdraw from the groups for which they rely on social interaction. This workshop will demonstrate some ways that neighborhoods can work together safely, social distancing, and help to improve their communities at the same time. I have an ask for those of you who are watching on Facebook Live. Can you share it with your friends? Do a watch party so we can get more people engaged and involved in this conference. And if you are watching on Facebook Live, feel free to type in a question. We have someone there who can field the questions and send them to the panelists for them to be answered. And with that, we're going to take a short break and continue with the rest of our morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. I look forward to seeing you throughout the day, seeing you throughout the morning, and interacting with you throughout these workshops.
Solar energy is clean, renewable, and increasingly becoming more affordable as the cost of PV panels, the key component in generating electricity from sunlight, continues to fall. If you're thinking of going solar, there are a few steps you should take before you make a purchase in order to establish realistic expectations. First, know your electric consumption numbers. Understanding the amount you pay for electricity and how much you consume is important when looking to install a solar PV system. Start by calculating your total electric consumption over the past 12 billing cycles. You can find this information on your bill, by calling customer service, or by logging into your MyOUC online account. Here, you can see your consumption data from the past 12 months. Add each month and then divide that number by 1,350 kilowatt hours to calculate the approximate size of the system you'd need in order to be net zero. Let's say you consumed a total of 12,825 kilowatt hours over the past 12 months. You would need approximately a 9.5 kilowatt solar PV system. We recommend requesting a free energy audit from OUC. A conservation specialist will work with you to determine if there are any existing opportunities for savings, available rebates, or any OUC programs that could help you reduce your consumption. The more you can reduce your consumption, the smaller the size of the PV system that's required, which can help you save money on your purchase. The next important step is to do your homework. Check out websites such as Google Project Sunroof, Department of Energy, the National Renewable Energy Laboratory PV Watts Calculator, and FSEC Energy Research Center for more information about whether you're a good candidate for solar. For Google Project Sunroof, you'll need to know the average cost of the electric portion of your bill to receive accurate information. OUC is committed to making solar affordable and accessible. Visit ouc.com/solar to learn more about the different solar programs OUC offers, including OU Collective Solar and OU Community Solar. The OU Collective Solar program is designed to make it easier and more affordable for homeowners to install PV panels on their roofs by utilizing OUC's buying power by working directly with ESA Solar. Once you're enrolled, ESA Solar takes care of everything from financing, engineering, procurement, construction, maintenance, and beyond. When you're ready to make the purchase, it's important to obtain multiple quotes. Consider obtaining at least 4 quotes before making a decision. A great place to start is our list of preferred contractors, which can be found on our website. After going through these 5 steps, you're ready to make an informed decision on purchasing a solar PV system. If you have any questions, please call 407-434-2263 or email green@ouc.com.
I was working in hospitality. I received the furlough, so I had to try to take a different career path.
We We have $36 million in federal COVID-19 aid that has been set aside for social service agencies and nonprofits in our community.
Career Source Central Florida is here to help Orange County.
At any point during this journey, I am your consultant. You can reach out to me at any time.
Long gone are the days where you would go into an unemployment office and sit there and wait for someone to point you in a direction. It really is about customizing that plan and that journey for each individual. And I think, what's really cool about the Orlando region is while we're known for our tourism and accommodation and hospitality, there are a lot of other opportunities that have been growing in our region over the years, and a lot of people don't know about what else they might be able to do.
She took the time out with me. She communicated well with me. They was able to help me, and it's like I'm ready just to get out there and just jumpstart and go. It's 1, 2, 3. It's not what you think. It's 1, 2, 3.
Solar energy is clean, renewable, and increasingly becoming more affordable as the cost of PV panels, the key component in generating electricity from sunlight, continues to fall. If you're thinking of going solar, there are a few steps you should take before you make a purchase in order to establish realistic expectations. First, know your electric consumption numbers. Understanding the amount you pay for electricity and how much you consume is important when looking to install a solar PV system. Start by calculating your total electric consumption over the past 12 billing cycles. You can find this information on your bill, by calling customer service, or by logging into your MyOUC online account. Here, you can see your consumption data from the past 12 months. Add each month and then divide that number by 1,350 kilowatt hours to calculate the approximate size of the system you'd need in order to be net zero. Let's say you consumed a total of 12,825 kilowatt hours over the past 12 months. You would need approximately a 9.5 kilowatt solar PV system. We recommend requesting a free energy audit from OUC. A conservation specialist will work with you to determine if there are any existing opportunities for savings, available rebates, or any OUC programs that could help you reduce your consumption. The more you can reduce your consumption, the smaller the size of the PV system that's required, which can help you save money on your purchase. The next important step is to do your homework. Check out websites such as Google Project Sunroof, Department of Energy, the National Renewable Energy Laboratory PV Watts Calculator, and FSEC Energy Research Center for more information about whether you're a good candidate for solar. For Google Project Sunroof, you'll need to know the average cost of the electric portion of your bill to receive accurate information. OUC is committed to making solar affordable and accessible. Visit ouc.com/solar to learn more about the different solar programs OUC offers, including OU Collective Solar and OU Community Solar. The OU Collective Solar program is designed to make it easier and more affordable for homeowners to install PV panels on their roofs by utilizing OUC's buying power by working directly with ESA Solar. Once you're enrolled, ESA Solar takes care of everything from financing, engineering, procurement, construction, maintenance, and beyond. When you're ready to make the purchase, it's important to obtain multiple quotes. Consider obtaining at least 4 quotes before making a decision. A great place to start is our list of preferred contractors, which can be found on our website. After going through these 5 steps, you're ready to make an informed decision on purchasing a solar PV system. If you have any questions, please call 407-434-2263 or email green@ouc.com.
Today is our kickoff theme for the National Fire Protection Association's theme of Serve Up Fire Safety in the Kitchen. We're going to be focusing on fire safety in a residential kitchen and the steps that you can take to make it less significant of a fire should one occur, and the steps you can take to prevent a fire.
So we want to show people, first of all, how dangerous it is to leave anything unattended on the stove, but if they have a home with fire sprinklers, how that can save their lives and save their property. So our mission is to educate people on fire sprinklers and how they work.
October is the month that we try to stress fire safety nationwide. And so not only the kitchen, but we want to have the acronym EDITH, exit drills in the home. We want everybody to have 2 ways out of their home.
Make sure you're paying attention to what you're doing. You want to have your fire alarm set. You want to make sure your battery is working on the fire alarms, everything like that, smoke alarms, and just be aware of your surroundings, see what's going on.
Fire sprinklers buy time. Time buys life. And that's the biggest thing. One sprinkler normally would go off in a home fire. It goes off because it's activated by heat. 135 to 155 degrees, your sprinkler will go off. And only one sprinkler will contain that fire until the fire department comes, giving your family ample time to get out.
There's a misconception that there's going to be significant water damage. Fire causes far more damage than water damage, and so they are very reliable and are protecting the home 24/7. Fires can occur and get out of control rapidly, so we were just trying to stress today the importance of the safety in the kitchen and stay focused until all the burners are off and the meal's prepared.
Solar energy is clean, renewable, and increasingly becoming more affordable as the cost of PV panels, the key component in generating electricity from sunlight, continues to fall. If you're thinking of going solar, there are a few steps you should take before you make a purchase in order to establish realistic expectations. First, know your electric consumption numbers. Understanding the amount you pay for electricity and how much you consume is important when looking to install a solar PV system. Start by calculating your total electric consumption over the past 12 billing cycles. You can find this information on your bill, by calling customer service, or by logging into your MyOUC online account. Here, you can see your consumption data from the past 12 months. Add each month and then divide that number by 1,350 kilowatt hours to calculate the approximate size of the system you'd need in order to be net zero. Let's say you consumed a total of 12,825 kilowatt hours over the past 12 months. You would need approximately a 9.5 kilowatt solar PV system. We recommend requesting a free energy audit from OUC. A conservation specialist will work with you to determine if there are any existing opportunities for savings, available rebates, or any OUC programs that could help you reduce your consumption. The more you can reduce your consumption, the smaller the size of the PV system that's required, which can help you save money on your purchase. The next important step is to do your homework. Check out websites such as Google Project Sunroof, Department of Energy, the National Renewable Energy Laboratory PV Watts Calculator, and EFSEC Energy Research Center for more information about whether you're a good candidate for solar. For Google Project Sunroof, you'll need to know the average cost of the electric portion of your bill to receive accurate information. OUC is committed to making solar affordable and accessible. Visit ouc.com/solar to learn more about the different solar programs OUC offers, including OU Collective Solar and OU Community Solar. The OU Collective Solar program is designed to make it easier and more affordable for homeowners to install PV panels on their roofs by utilizing OUC's buying power by working directly with ESA Solar. Once you're enrolled, ESA Solar takes care of everything from financing, engineering, procurement, construction, maintenance, and beyond. When you're ready to make the purchase, it's important to obtain multiple quotes. Consider obtaining at least 4 quotes before making a decision. A great place to start is our list of preferred contractors, which can be found on our website. After going through these 5 steps, you're ready to make an informed decision on purchasing a solar PV system. If you have any questions, please call 407-434-2263 or email green@ouc.com.
We're here at the Orlando Science Center to talk about why face masks are important, because they allow me to protect you while you protect me. But they're not good for everything. For instance, they're not very good at blowing bubbles. They're also not very good at brushing your teeth. Or blowing out birthday candles. masks are also not very good for stopping to smell the flowers. And they are really not good for putting on lipstick. But what masks are really good for is preventing respiratory droplets or spit from traveling long distances when you cough, sneeze, or even laugh, which keeps you and everyone around you safe. So I protect you while you protect me. It's basic science. For more information on how masks keep you safe, please visit www.ocfl.net/we-got-you-covered. This message brought to you by your friends at Orange County Government and the Orlando Science Center.
Good morning and welcome back to the 2020 Orange County Community Conference. I'm very happy to introduce our first workshop this morning, Health Services Department Serving Our Community. The Health Services Department works tirelessly to serve the community in many ways, including mitigating many of the health impacts brought on by the coronavirus. The information in this workshop will highlight the Health Services Department's vital role as the community navigates the pandemic. Our speakers this morning will be Dr. Yolanda Martinez, the Director of the Health Services Department, Dr. Christian Zuver, the Medical Director for Orange County Medical Services, and Ms. Daniela Sullivan, the Administrator of the Orange County Medical Clinic.
Well, good morning, Mr. Reynolds. Thank you very much for the invitation to be a part of this conference, a very successful conference that you hold every year. Thank you very much for having us here. And we wanted to have the opportunity to share some information with the community regarding the mitigation efforts that the county has undertaken with COVID-19 to be able to protect the community and to provide the resources needed. And if we could please bring the presentation up. we wanted to share some information with all of you in Orange County regarding the efforts that we have undertaken over the last 6 or 7 months that we have been working on the COVID-19 efforts. And as Jason mentioned, we're accompanied here by Dr. Zuber and Ms. Sullivan. Some of the first efforts that we undertook were very early on during the first information regarding the pandemic. On January 29th, Dr. Zuber convened a group of community partners to talk about preparedness and ability to respond to the pandemic once it arrived in Orange County, which it hadn't even arrived in Florida at that time. On March 13th, Mayor Demings declared a local emergency, and with that he activated the Emergency Policy Group and also the Emergency Operations Center. And I wanted to give a shout out to the Emergency Policy Group that Mayor Demings put together. It's conformed of a series of individuals in the community, all of whom are very active, from the hospitals to community partners and other entities that have been working every day, Saturday and Sunday, in meeting and reviewing all the efforts that are taking place to be able to protect the community. The communications team also at the Orange County government developed a very useful website that has been on for many, many months, providing information about COVID-19. And for that, residents can go to ocfl.net/COVID-19. I'm sorry. You'll probably see the information up on the screen. We've also have engaged in distribution of PPE to long-term facilities, care facilities, and other agencies in the community that have been serving community residents. The health services component and the fire rescue component have been extremely active in the provision of COVID-19 testing. And we started April 29th, and Ms. Sullivan will cover more about that information because she has been very active on that side every single day since we started. And the county has also conducted distribution of PPE in the community since the very beginning to make sure that our businesses and our agencies in the community had the resources they needed to serve the clients. Another component that the county has been very active on has been the CARES Act funding. And there have been a series of funding opportunities for community residents, businesses, and individuals. And again, you can go to our website to get more information about that. The Economic Recovery Task Force has also been very active in providing assistance to the county leadership and other community agencies on what are the frameworks originally for the closing of businesses to make sure that everybody was safe. And then they worked together to develop a plan for the safe opening again of businesses and agencies in our community. The county also put together a strike team that is now visiting the different components in the community, the businesses, the parks, the restaurants, the bars, etc., to make sure that everyone is following the safety mandates. And the main point here is that we want to keep the community safe. And we are now in the process of beginning the planning for the COVID-19 vaccine efforts. When we have a vaccine available, we want to make sure that the county, not only the county government, but in conjunction with partners, we're ready to provide the vaccine to the community in the fastest way possible. And what I'd like to do now is turn it over to Dr. Zuber, who will cover more on the testing.
Thank you, Dr. Martinez. So I think I'll start by just giving us a little overview of where we are now in Orange County. This is our most recent data in terms of how COVID has affected the residents of Orange County. So currently we've had 43,044 cases as of yesterday in Orange County, with an unfortunate number of deaths at 528. Our hospitalization has been about almost 1,500 hospitalizations over the course. And our cumulative positivity rate is 11.4%. Now that is the number of people tested positive out of the whole testing population since the beginning of the pandemic. So we're currently at 11.4%. I think of note, how does that relate to kind of where we are now? Because that number, it kind of varies based on when we have surges and spikes in testing. And right now, our positivity rate, which our rolling rate, if we look at the past 2 weeks, has been hovering right around 5%. So, you know, we're much lower than we had been at previous times. And I think one of the main things that we can do to to focus on that number and how we're doing in terms of prevention of the spread of COVID is all of our social distancing policies. I think, it has been essential. Mask wearing has been essential, and the mayor took early action to put a mask mandate out, and I think that has been very helpful with our positivity number. Mask wearing is one of the most important things that any individual can do to help decrease the spread of COVID-19. And it's all types of masks. It's not just the surgical mask like you see me wearing right now, but facial coverings in general. They don't have to be medical grade. All can decrease. I know people have seen studies about the different types of face coverings. The point is that the more layers in your face covering, the better it does to prevent the spread of the COVID-19 virus. And that goes from a 1-layer standard neck gaiter up to like a 3-layer, even homemade mask. But the ability to stop that particle spread is essential. Masks don't necessarily prevent individual from spreading per se, but they also protect the individual from being exposed per se. So mask wearing is essential. I think the other things that were started early, which was the social distancing, the emphasis on importance of social distancing, of avoiding congregate gathering, has played a big role in our numbers. I think we can expect to see ups and downs in our numbers as we kind of progress through this pandemic. And we've seen that. We've had periods where we're very low and then periods where our numbers go up. But some of that can be kind of temporally related to the things that you see like holidays and some vacation times, and where people might be more prone to congregate gather. I think even Dr. Fauci this week mentioned that we should really consider our holiday plans for the winter here in terms of congregate gathering. So I can't express that enough of how important that is. And then lastly, of course, the social hygiene. So hand washing, essential hand washing, using hand sanitizer when you're not able to wash your hands with soap and water. Those are all essential components to our mitigation of community spread. And I think the county has been on the forefront and out in front of that from the beginning, looking to educate and protect our citizens. I guess the other question is, who needs to wear protective equipment? I mean, you see different levels of equipment in different places. I think the easiest answer is everyone should be masked when they're in public. I think that everyone should try to still maintain their 6-foot social distancing patterns when they're in public. The heavier PPE, gowns, gloves, best saved for the medical professionals who are dealing with the COVID pandemic currently, and the general public, masks. You could add some eye protection if you're comfortable with that, and then really good hand washing, I think, is essential. We see a lot of different facial coverings nowadays, and I think the take-home message with that is it needs to cover your nose and your mouth. Folks, when the mask is down below your nose, you still have the ability to transmit and to inhale particles. So make sure that mask is covering your nose and your mouth at all times. That's, I think, the most essential thing in terms of mask wearing, along with the fact that the more layers, from 1 to 3, the better protection we think it provides. Other things to remember with the mask is try not to touch the front of it if you can. And then if you do have to adjust your mask, try to wash your hands or use hand hygiene. So, I mean, that's been an overview about where we are with our COVID numbers. It's been an overview of just the reminders about the important social aspects of the transmission of COVID and the need to wear masks. I think the next thing I'm just going to briefly talk about is, so folks who get COVID, what are our real treatment options? COVID is a viral illness, and most viral illnesses, treatment becomes a little bit of a different discussion. It's not like a bacterial infection where you can use an antibiotic. So for COVID, we do a lot of things to treat the symptoms and to prevent the effects that the virus causes. I think with COVID, we see inflammation, especially in the lungs, and that's contributed to some of the difficulties with breathing and our hospitalization rates. And then you also get other problems like blood clotting. So, but what do we do for this? I think currently, besides supportive care in the hospital, there are a couple treatments that are known to be effective. One is steroids have shown to decrease when people need oxygen. But we've heard a lot of talk about convalescent plasma, and I just want to talk a little bit about what convalescent plasma is. When we get exposed to a virus, our body produces antibodies. And those antibodies are our body's way of decreasing or preventing infection if we get exposed again. And we have found in previous outbreaks of illnesses that the antibodies in the blood could be potentially a benefit in treating people who have severe illness from a virus like COVID-19. So our blood contains both the red blood cell part, but there's also a liquid component of blood, and that's what convalescent plasma comes from. The liquid component of blood is called plasma, and it contains antibodies. So with convalescent plasma, an individual would go to the blood bank and they would make a donation, and the blood bank would just keep that liquid component that contains antibodies. And then when you have someone who is severely ill with COVID, some places will consider giving them convalescent plasma. So they'll administer that antibody-containing liquid to the patient that's ill. It's safe. It's been effective in other illnesses, we believe. And I say we believe because it's still something that's being studied. I don't think anyone can say 100% that convalescent plasma is the treatment of choice for people with severe COVID-19. I think we're still learning about it. But the hypothesis that it would work as it has in the past for other illnesses is there, and it makes, I think, medical sense. But it still needs to be completely validated in appropriate studies, and those are ongoing. But the early studies coming out specifically related to COVID have been positive. So for people who are really sick, convalescent plasma is just one more potential option. Which brings you to the next question is, who should donate plasma? My personal opinion is that if you've had COVID and you've recovered, that, and you're otherwise healthy, that convalescent plasma donation should be a consideration that you make. It's easy. I've done it. It's not a hard process. It doesn't take much time. You don't feel sick or tired afterwards. And then the potential is there to really help another member of our community, which I think is essential as we work our way through this pandemic. And then if you are able, you can give it more than once. There's a waiting period after, but it's relatively a simple process. So that's kind of an overview. I've talked a little bit about COVID-19, where we are here in the county. We've talked about kind of a reminder and about the importance of masks and social distancing and hygiene, all those things that have been really kind of expressed to us all throughout this. It's been the constant message as we've gone through this has been the mask wearing now and the social distancing and hygiene. And then lastly, convalescent plasma. It's a newer topic. It's something that I think it's gained a lot of media coverage and interest, that it's a potential. Will it be the end all be all for COVID-19 treatment? We don't know, but it's an option that in specific cases in conjunction with the doctors treating. So Dr. Martinez, thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Zuber. Did you want to mention a little bit about the vaccine, COVID-19, and what we know? We don't know much about it yet, but...
Sure. So the vaccine, that's what we're all waiting for. What's going to happen with vaccination for COVID-19? There's been a lot of coverage in the media about COVID-19 vaccine. There's multiple vaccines currently undergoing clinical trials to assess for safety and then effectiveness. When we'll have one, we don't know. We're preparing for different types of vaccines from the different manufacturers. I think the way that vaccination currently is planned from the federal guidelines is that the first round, once the vaccine has been tested to be safe and effective, will be smaller numbers sent out, and that'll be for the critical frontline workers who need coverage, and maybe, if there's availability, some high-risk populations. Those are who are at risk, really high risk for having severe COVID-19 illness. And those essential health workers will be in the first group, first responders and other essential government workers and community workers. The second phase, as we produce more vaccine, because just like anything, it takes time to produce, would be to finish out the population of essential workers that weren't, and high-risk people that weren't covered under the first phase, and then start to progress into the general population. And then as you progress into phase 3 will be widespread general vaccination of the community for those who are interested in receiving it. I think that time will tell as to when phase 3 will happen. We've heard different discussions from the CDC and the National Institutes of Health of when that could be, anywhere from spring into late spring. So we're anxiously awaiting a little more on the vaccines. And I think from there, I think Orange County Health Services will play a big role in the distribution of that and working with our community partners. And as you had mentioned in the beginning, we are currently in the planning phases for how that mass vaccination protocol for those individuals that are interested in receiving it would look like for Orange County.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Zuber. And I think that's important to know so that the community continues to rely on the efforts that are being done by the Orange County team to keep the community safe and well prepared. And I wanted to turn it over to Ms. Sullivan now so she could give us an overview of the testing components and then the follow-up that has been provided to those that go get tested. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and share a little bit of what the experience of being out at the testing site has represented for us as health services team. As we know, Orange County started providing COVID-19 testing services back in April. And April 29th was our first day. And initially the strategy was planned to be just like a week strategy where we were providing testing services at 2 different sites. And of course, as the testing needs in the community increased, then we saw the need to stay longer and to continue providing testing services. So that was possible thanks to a partnership between Orange County Health Services, Orange County Fire Rescue, as well as Emergency Management and many other county services that have provided help in terms of staffing and logistics. And so it has been an amazing effort, and we're very, very thankful for all their help. As of right now, we have tested more than 26,000 residents at more than 20 locations. And all the positive cases so far have been contacted by our case management department, and they have been referred to our internal medicine residency program, which is housed at Orange County Medical Clinic, and that is done through a partnership with Orlando Health, and we're extremely thankful for that because that gave us the opportunity to continue providing health services at those times where we wanted to make sure we were taking care of our uninsured population that were being served by Orange County Medical Clinic. And then, of course, in that way, we had the internal medicine residents at the clinic, and we were able to provide those primary care services that if it wasn't for that, those patients probably could have been using hospitals or emergency rooms for that type of services. So it was amazing. It was an amazing response. So as we know, the public health response in Orange County has had 3 main strategies. Those strategies have been, of course, testing, contact tracing, and isolation. Orange County government is not the only agency that is not the only organization that has been providing testing services in Orange County. The Florida Department of Health has provided testing services, as well as many other private and nonprofit health services and health organizations across the county. However, all the contact tracing activities is right now the responsibility of the Florida Department of Health, which is crucial because that has been the activity that is ensuring that the control the outbreaks is happening. And well, from the public health perspective, of course, we continue promoting the importance of the use of the mask, as well as the active practice of social distancing and the frequent and the adequate hand washing as the main strategies that have been proven to be successful in the control of the COVID-19 spread.
Thank you. And so this provides the community a bit of an overview of what Orange County government through health services and some of our other units in the government, including fire rescue, and as Ms. Sullivan mentioned, we have to be thankful to all the other components that have helped with this portion of history that we're living here. And as Dr. Zuber mentioned, some of our other community partners, like the hospitals, that also have been very active in helping out. We want to just enforce that message that Dr. Zuber and Ms. Sullivan brought forth, and that is that many of the actions are in our hands as individuals, and that begins with being careful, with making sure that we play the role. And Dr. Zuber quoted or mentioned Dr. Fauci, and he often mentions that we're not individuals. We don't live individually in a bubble. We're part of a community. We're part of a society. And as a result, we have an impact on that society. So let's make sure that that impact is positive. Wear your mask. Make sure you're socially distanced from individuals when you're talking or socializing with them or engaging with them. And wash your hands, or ensure that you have good hygiene. That is critical to make sure that we keep ourselves, our families, and our community safe. And with that, I wanted to end here. We wanted to end with a bit of information from one of our co-workers at work. This is Rosie, and as we can tell, Rosie has shown us all the ways that we should not wear our masks, but the right way that we should. And if Rosie's able to do it, I'm sure we can all do it. And thank you very much for the opportunity.
And we have some questions from social media for the team. Okay. We have Taylor from Avalon Park. He's asking the difference between different types of COVID tests. He's heard of PCR, antigen, rapid test. What types do Orange County Health Services offer, and what should residents know?
Sure, I'll cover that one. So 3 main types, and you mentioned them. There's the rapid test, the PCR test, and there's an antigen test out there. And so for most part, rapid tests, are originally were something that wasn't the PCR. The PCR test is a test that is the nasal swab, and what it does is it really finds copies of the virus particles inside inside the specimen, and it is the gold standard right now for testing for COVID-19. The other types of tests, the rapid tests, which would be antibody tests, they look for different aspects. They look for your response to the infection. And there's no perfect test out there currently. PCR, we found, is the best one, and that's what we're offering in Orange County as our primary mode of testing. And it results about 48 hours for that test. The other tests, they really depend on your clinical situation and what kind of symptoms you're having as to which one is tailored for you the best.
Great, thank you so much. We have another question from Carrie from Winter Park. She's asking in her neighborhood, just looking at the data on what it says on COVID-19 now, what should neighborhoods know about, possibly opening up pools or tennis courts, or what would be your recommendation?
Well, I know that we're slowly opening some of the components within the county. What we need to know, and I know the mayor presents it in his press conferences as well as some of the other experts that he presents, is that we need to exercise our responsibility in keeping ourselves safe and keeping everybody safe. Keep social distance, wear a mask, hygiene. I know it sounds repetitive. It sounds like many people say, well, we're tired of hearing that. But one thing we need to keep in mind is that the virus doesn't get tired. The virus is there and is life. So when considering engaging in the community, opening activities, or participating in group activities, we need to be very, very conscientious. We do not have the liberty of letting our guard down, because it could generate very bad outcomes for us or for our loved ones.
Awesome. And one more question. Is there any other suggestions you can have for our neighborhoods and HOAs to support health services and what they're doing and what they should tell their residents? What should our HOAs be doing?
Oh, well, that's a great question, and just carry the message that we're sharing with you today. We want everybody to hear it. Maybe someone was not able to watch the program today because they were either at work or they were busy with home activities. Carry the message. Be the person that always carries the message, the public health message that we're sharing with you today, that we have been sharing since the beginning of the pandemic. Be safe. Encourage those residents in your building or in your neighborhood to wear their mask. It's not forcing someone to do something that it's negative for them. It's something that it's positive for them and it's positive for their family and for everybody else. So help us carry that message through, replicate yourself into one of us and carry the message out.
And one final question from Jennifer. She lives near the Pine Hills area. Any suggestions on Halloween for our kiddos this year?
Well, it sounds repetitive. Dr. Suber, did you want to share something?
Yeah,
you have children?
I think that's a tough one. I think being creative in terms of how to make this a safe Halloween for our kids, and not just safe as we think of for every Halloween, but safe in terms of the pandemic. And whatever you're doing, it has to make sure you're masking. Halloween masks won't cut it this year. There needs to be something a little bit more preventative than that. And I think that's a tough community question, and there's no right answer for everywhere. I think it depends on what your situation is in terms of your ability to distance during it. It's hard to keep kids distanced, and so I think creative for maybe other options this year than our typical trick or treating. But still that allow everyone to get out and experience the community that we have and make positive memories during a difficult time.
Did you have some suggestions, Daniela, for Halloween this year? I know you have a nephew, you have family
Definitely a tough
member?
one, yeah.
Okay.
But I think it's the same suggestions apply everywhere. I think in Halloween especially, the hand washing is going to be critical since you're going to be touching so many things. But still, the social distancing and the masking are going to be big this time as we continue to adapt and to incorporate all this new normal into a regular routine and still trying to do it in a safe but enjoyable manner without having to definitely say, okay, we're not going out or we're not going to do it. Okay, let's do it, but let's try to do it in a really safe way.
Great, thank you so much. That is all of our questions. We appreciate our panel here today, and please stay tuned to our next speakers.
Solar energy is clean, renewable, and increasingly becoming more affordable as the cost of PV panels, the key component in generating electricity from sunlight, continues to fall. If you're thinking of going solar, there are a few steps you should take before you make a purchase in order to establish realistic expectations. First, know your electric consumption numbers. Understanding the amount you pay for electricity and how much you consume is important when looking to install a solar PV system. Start by calculating your total electric consumption over the past 12 billing cycles. You can find this information on your bill, by calling customer service, or by logging into your MyOUC online account. Here, you can see your consumption data from the past 12 months. Add each month and then divide that number by 1,350 kilowatt hours to calculate the approximate size of the system you'd need in order to be net zero. Let's say you consumed a total of 12,825 kilowatt hours over the past 12 months. You would need approximately a 9.5 kilowatt solar PV system. We recommend requesting a free energy audit from OUC. A conservation specialist will work with you to determine if there are any existing opportunities for savings, available rebates, or any OUC programs that could help you reduce your consumption. The more you can reduce your consumption, the smaller the size of the PV system that's required, which can help you save money on your purchase. The next important step is to do your homework. Check out websites such as Google Project Sunroof, Department of Energy, the National Renewable Energy Laboratory PV Watts Calculator, and FSEC Energy Research Center for more information about whether you're a good candidate for solar. For Google Project Sunroof, you'll need to know the average cost of the electric portion of your bill to receive accurate information. OUC is committed to making solar affordable and accessible. Visit ouc.com/solar to learn more about the different solar programs OUC offers, including OU Collective Solar and OU Community Solar. The OU Collective Solar program is designed to make it easier and more affordable for homeowners to install PV panels on their roofs by utilizing OUC's buying power by working directly with ESA Solar. Once you're enrolled, ESA Solar takes care of everything from financing, engineering, procurement, construction, maintenance, and beyond. When you're ready to make the purchase, it's important to obtain multiple quotes. Consider obtaining at least 4 quotes before making a decision. A great place to start is our list of preferred contractors, which can be found on our website. After going through these 5 steps, you're ready to make an informed decision on purchasing a solar PV system. If you have any questions, please call 407-434-2263 or email green@ouc.com.
I was working in hospitality. I received the furlough, so I had to try to take a different career path.
We have $36 million in federal COVID-19 aid that has been set aside for social service agencies and nonprofits in our community.
Career Source Central Florida is here to help Orange County.
At any point during this journey, I am your consultant. You can reach out to me at any time.
Long gone are the days where you would go into an unemployment office and sit there and wait for someone to point you in a direction. It really is about customizing that plan and that journey for each individual. And I think, what's really cool about the Orlando region is while we're known for our tourism and accommodation and hospitality, there are a lot of other opportunities that have been growing in our region over the years, and a lot of people don't know about what else they might be able to do.
She took the time out with me. She communicated well with me. They was able to help me, and it's like I'm ready just to get out there and just jumpstart and go. It's 1, 2, 3. It's not what you think. It's 1, 2, 3.
Yes, I'm Alice Rice.
Good morning. Welcome back to the 2020 Orange County Community Conference. Thank you for joining us. Our first workshop with Dr. Martinez and the Health Services Department was fascinating, interesting, and very timely. I'm joined on the set right now with Ms. Doreen Overstreet, Assistant Manager of Communications. She'll be helping with social media and fielding questions. Our next workshop is very relevant to you all as neighborhood leaders and nonprofit leaders and community leaders. It's community building while social distancing. Right now, we've had to withdraw from many of our groups and our social interactions that help us thrive. But in regards to developing the community, we can still do those things, but in a social distance setting. Ms. Allison Rice, the Senior Planner with the Neighborhood Services Division, will present about community building while social distancing.
Hi. Those of us who care most about our communities have lately been exercising that by self-isolating and social distancing. However, we all know that humans are wired for connection and social inclusion. We are happiest and healthiest when we have a sense of belonging and strong social networks. Connection contributes to our practical and emotional needs, enhances our mental well-being, helps us navigate the challenges of life, and reinforces healthy behaviors, all of which are a risk in the age of social distancing. The solution to a disconnected community and an isolated person is the same. It's to build connections, little by little, with the people around us. I personally witnessed this, the results of small actions in my own neighborhood. At the beginning of the lockdown in March, I had a neighbor named Glenn who is usually pretty quiet and keeps to himself. He's not looking to be outgoing. He's not looking to meet everyone in the neighborhood, but that really is what happened because he decided he wanted to have a pretty garden in his front yard. The results were pretty immediate. As he started digging out the beds and planting this garden, people started to slow down to talk to them as they walked by. He started to learn people's names, and people had conversations with him, and eventually they had conversations with each other, sometimes about him. Glenn shared gardening advice and plant cuttings with the people in his community. And now everyone on the street seems to have a cranberry hibiscus bush that started with his bush. It inspired neighbors to make their own front yards and backyards look nicer. They shared their own plants with Glenn. He says now that his garden is a type of community garden because everyone contributed. It also slowed down traffic. It caused people who were just driving through and walking through to look outside of their own thoughts and look around them. It helped them to engage in other parts in the community as well. As a result, everyone on the street felt connected during the lockdown and spent their time less stressed, having more fun because of the camaraderie that developed from someone who was simply sitting outside and planting a garden. So first, I want to talk about principles of community building. Now, these can be used for both groups and they can be used individually, and they're useful for all times, not just when social distancing. But really, they're for any actions, projects, or events that you may be doing, and it's good to use these principles in order to be successful in those events and to maintain your own mental well-being. So the first one is to start small. Often, people think that if a project doesn't have a permanent or a huge result, it's not worth doing. Instead, I'd say to focus on planning something that doesn't overwhelm you. Instead of organizing a neighborhood barbecue that would require a lot of coordination and volunteers and donations, leave an activity in your front yard that neighbors can enjoy in their own time. Paint rocks or bricks and leave them along the sidewalk, either in front of your front yard or throughout the neighborhood for people to take and enjoy. Whatever you do, be intentional and accept what you can realistically do. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. A little action is always better than no action. Which brings me to my next principle, which is to work within the confines of reality and not against it. Plan for people being too busy to show up. Plan for social distancing. But whatever you do, don't bemoan what you can't do. Instead, look for what you can do. Take a moment right now and think of the reason why you haven't really done much with your community since March. Maybe you're at risk and need to quarantine. For your own health, you really need to be extra stringent about staying away from people. Then you can always decorate your window for the children walking by. You can sew masks for others who can't afford to buy their own. You can call your neighbors on the phone or write them a letter. Let's say you're too busy and stressed, as I know many of the parents are. Let's take a moment and make a point of saying hi to a neighbor and ask them how they're doing. Just ask other families how they're doing and maybe help start a virtual tutoring pool to share responsibilities, have a study hall, share resources. Maybe money is limited. You may be out of work, maybe furloughed, or just like all of us, money is limited. You can spend time updating your group's bylaws, learn something new online. There's a lot of opportunities for free. And you can also start a social media account for the group. It's important to know that being realistic does not mean being pessimistic. Being realistic means looking at your strengths and deficits together and without judgment, like a shopkeeper does when going over the store's inventory. Use your strengths while keeping a clear head about the hurdles you have to overcome. You may be surprised at the outcome. Excuse me. The second principle is to think about others' interests. Often when we care about our communities, it's because we have a very specific vision for what that community could be. That can mean, however, that we're not tolerant of people who have a different vision. So I suggest talking to your neighbors. Look at their ages and demographics. What do they really enjoy? Learn about those interests without judgment. I try to remember when I'm having a problem engaging with people that the problem usually isn't them. It's that I'm trying to dictate what their values or interests should be. So if youths nowadays only like video games and stay inside all the time, then do something video game themed. Pokemon Go was a very popular game, came out a couple of years ago, and a lot of towns and communities helped capitalize off of that and put prizes and things to catch around their own communities to encourage people to walk around. So if you don't know why people don't show up to, say, your meetings or your events, just ask. Have a conversation to learn about what other interests are, what other people's interests are, without talking about your own interests. And it may not be people's interests keeping them away. It may be their fears. So again, talk to them. Listen without judgment, because there may be a way to help them join the community without making them feel uncomfortable. And then finally, listen to yourself. Are you having fun? Whenever you talk to people, do you talk about how enjoyable it is to be with your group? Don't forget to be energetic and sound like you love helping your community when trying to engage others. Ask yourself what others get out of spending time with your group and with you. How can you make it worth their while? And then finally, be grateful for small wins. At the end of the day, be grateful for the people who did show up and be proud that you accomplished something. Something is always better than nothing. Even if it doesn't help anyone, the action did help you. Even if that project was successful, that project is still not going to change the world. You're still going to have to follow up with something else. You're going to have to re-engage people. You're going to have to invite people to come to meetings and to participate in another way. And you're going to have to reach out to the people who didn't show up. So you might as well appreciate the process and enjoy whatever comes out of it. So we're going to go over the different types of projects that you can do while social distancing. Remember, you can do these projects under normal circumstances and under normal times, but they're especially useful for these conditions. So the different types of projects are to visit from a distance, projects that allow you to visit from a distance, projects that bring joy to others, and then ways that you can go online and build your community. The simplest action out of all of my recommendations is to just sit outside. Enjoy your front yard. Do something that you typically do hidden inside your house or in your backyard, but do it where people can actually see you. For example, eat dinner with your family on your driveway, like the family in the picture. I have been told that we used to sit outside and talk while the kids played in the street. Sometimes people would work on their cars in their driveway. This is what allowed us to get to know our neighbors, bring back front yard socializing, the way things used to be. By allowing others to see you and talk to you, you'll be rebuilding your own social capital street by street. So you don't have to be physically close to anyone, and you don't even have to speak directly to anyone. But the key is to show your presence and to communicate. So in that way, you can turn social distancing into distance socializing. By saying hi is usually half the battle. If people don't respond, and sometimes they don't because they're just in their own thoughts or they're just not used to their neighbor saying hi to them, just keep saying hi to everyone with a smile. Come up with some type of icebreaker, just like Glenn did with his garden. An icebreaker is really just an excuse to engage in conversation, which is why, putting a garden in your front yard or putting out flamingos or, putting out a sign saying, "How are you doing? Please contact me if you need anything," really serves to just give people a talking point as to follow up with saying hi. So if you want to take it a step further, you can do a socially distant activity in your front yard or in your backyard to encourage you to interact with people and encourage your neighbors to interact with each other. We've talked about a front yard barbecue, or you can have a porch party where everyone can be socially distant but still get together. You can organize a neighborhood cleanup, which only requires a few people. You don't have to do the entire neighborhood all at once. You can just do one street a week. But it does build camaraderie and it does build community pride. If you advertise the neighborhood cleanup, then with yard signs or post pictures about it afterwards on social media, you will engender more community pride and camaraderie among the people who didn't participate. They'll be proud that it even happened. They'll have pride that the neighborhood looks nicer, and they'll be more likely to join you in following events. Environmental Protection Division has a storm drain labeling program that can also be done while social distancing and with just a few people. Or you can do something simple like a community bike ride or a walk. It's as much organizing as you feel like you're up to. Next, there are lots of ways to bring joy to others even though you're not communicating with them directly. Some people will like these types of projects because you don't necessarily have to engage anyone else or convince them to participate. Neighborhood Services has many programs like beautification grants, cleanups, and the sustainability grant to provide funding and logistical help for several beautification projects. But you can do some on your own as well, and projects can be temporary while still making an impact. You can draw chalk art on the sidewalk or your own driveway. If you want to go even further, you can ask neighbors to join in and create a sort of an art walk for people to enjoy on their own time. You can post art in the windows and in your doors, and leave something for others to find, such as painted rocks, a fairy garden in your own garden, put googly eyes on trees and cable boxes. You can even plant a right-of-way garden, which is the area right along the street, between the street and the sidewalk, which some people call a hell strip garden. Any of these projects can be done on your property or on community property with the understanding that they're not going to last forever. It's okay if someone takes your painted rocks or pulls up some flowers. They still brought joy while those things lasted. You can bring joy by leaving something accessible to the public that can be shared with the public. Again, something for people to take with them. Install edible gardens and trees, encouraging people to help themselves. Having a plant swap with your neighbors. Install a little free library, which is becoming popular now, or even a little free pantry, which is especially important now that COVID is affecting your neighbors in ways that aren't always visible. A local business, Infusion Tea, developed a great program in March for people to take advantage of during the lockdown. Someone would go and buy a yard sign from them, and then the business would leave their neighbors' yards, leave the yard sign in their neighbors' yards with toilet paper and some tea. You can bring joy to others by activating your front yard and right-of-way. More than merely beautifying your community, this involves encouraging neighbors to use the physical public spaces in your community that often lay vacant or idle. This can be done simply by installing a temporary activity or an amenity that neighbors can use on their own. One resident in the picture on the screen installed a bench for herself and for other people to use on walks. Another easy option is to activate your sidewalks by drawing games with chalk. You can activate your front yard by leaving daily jokes, some I Spy games, or other yard games like Twisters, Checkers, Cornhole, and Connect 4. When I was young, we would activate the streets by playing roller hockey and manhunt. Even inviting a friendly dog to play with your dog in the front yard is a form of activating your own personal public space with very little effort. So there's no question that COVID has made it difficult for members to come together for their own meetings, especially for those who are often the backbone of our neighborhood groups, the senior citizens. However, under the right lens, this pandemic can be used as an opportunity for community groups to reach people with different abilities and schedules. Even under normal times, groups should be engaging younger people, newcomers, families, people from other cultures and who speak different languages, all the people who make up their communities, in order to ensure group longevity. Now with COVID, really these groups can't put it off any longer. They either need to adapt to the technology and adapt to their residents' needs or go out of business. There's not enough time in this workshop to teach you all how to use the different online programs. I just want to emphasize, I just want to emphasize that using online venues to get together sometimes mean that the format for the meeting needs to be adapted. Maybe instead of asking someone to give presentations each month, you just use the time for practical business, board and committee business, and to give announcements. Since you can't have a one-on-one conversation very easily, making people feel welcome, try to find time to socialize and bond with your residents in other ways. For example, you can have a virtual happy hour, you can have a virtual book club, or a trivia night. Since it's hard for some people to ask questions or give their opinions during a meeting, you can have weekly office hours so leaders can help residents solve their problems. You can look for ways to be accessible, even though going online does feel more complicated for people. That may mean using multiple programs like Facebook Live and Eventbrite for people to join the meetings. It may mean that you'll need to host several types of gatherings each month to appeal to multiple types of people and their different schedules, references, and needs. But if you want to increase participation through their community, you'll need to find a balance that works for your group. Group leaders should always be looking for new and innovative ways to engage with the residents they represent. Not all people use the same technological platforms. And sometimes they may need to post an event. Sometimes some people feel like if they post an event on Nextdoor once, that's good enough. However, few young people use Nextdoor. Those who do use that social network program, they may not see it the first time. Studies are finding that young people use YouTube, Snapchat, or TikTok more often. More millennials use Twitter and Instagram, and then more Gen Xers and Boomers use Facebook. So go ahead and look at who you're trying to target and know your audience. Use the right tool for the job, and maybe take a note from professional marketing campaigns and post meetings across multiple platforms multiple times. When there aren't events, you can build excitement for your group and for everything that you do by posting fun pictures of your community that illustrate what makes you special. Start branding your community on different platforms with the different activities that you do and the people who make up those your community. Remember, the goal for our neighborhood groups aren't to have people just attend your meetings. The goal is to engage and develop community, and right now the community can be online. So, like we discussed before, right now is a really good opportunity if you have some downtime to expand your knowledge. There are a lot of different webinars and workshops available that will help you learn different technology platforms, to build up your fundraising and outreach, to help you with your bylaws and your action plans. It's a good idea under any circumstances to look at how you can strengthen your leadership, your board, and to reach out and bring in new members. And going online to these different workshops and webinars is a great way to start. Neighborhood Services also provides a lot of learning opportunities through community connections and through the Citizen Planner Academy and through the community conference that will help you learn different resources and to be able to strengthen your own community group. So I want to conclude by going over a couple of different resources that are available to you. Like I said, this workshop is much too short for me to go into detail about a lot of specific programs that you could be using, but I wanted to give you a good place to start for you to maybe do an online search and find out more information. So first of all, Neighborhood Services does have access to a lot of different grants and programs that will be helpful for you. It's always a good starting place to reach out to us. There's other Orange County divisions that are very helpful. The Sheriff's Office has a neighborhood watch. They have citizens on patrol, and they will bend over backwards to help you and your community strengthen the safety and the interactions between you. Cooperative Extension, it's on Conway Road. They have a lot of good online resources, not just for gardening, although that is very useful, but also for things like how to take care of your home, how to take care of your health, how to take care of your family. So it's always a good idea to visit their website and give them a call if you ever have any questions. Traffic Engineering has a Walk, Ride, Thrive program to help residents walk and bike more in their communities. If you find the infrastructure is lacking, maybe there's need for traffic calming, definitely reach out to Traffic Engineering. They'll be able to help you. And Orange County Library System is opening on a limited basis, but they have moved a lot of their programs online, and that includes teaching residents how to use their computers and how to learn specific technological skills for senior citizens and for the rest of the community. And I want to leave you with a lot of phrases and words so that you can go ahead and do an online search and find other projects that you can do in your community. This is just a starting point. There's a lot of creative things that are very easy that people have done all over the world. And really, you can go down a wormhole and find some really amazing things that would fit in your community and your abilities and needs. So if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. I have my email address on the screen and my phone number, and I will always be willing to direct you to the answer to your questions. So.
Thank you very much, Allison. A lot of great information that you provided there to help us during the current times, and I see that being able to go further in as we move through the pandemic. I'm now going to turn it to Doreen to see if we have a couple questions we can ask to Allison based on the presentation.
Thank you, Allison. A lot of our residents were really thrilled by a lot of your suggestions. They even wanted to use it for some of their church events and everything. So a lot of things cannot just be applied to neighborhoods, but to other organizations. We did have a comment from Virginia in Azalea Park, and I thought that you could answer this type of question. She commented about the need to familiarize neighbors with social media better so that they are comfortable with virtual meetings. What kind of suggestions would you have for maybe residents that are used to the face-to-face that to get them comfortable for more virtual for right now?
That is a great question, and I know Virginia well. I work with her, and she is just an inspiration to me, and I know for many other people. But you're right. It's not just senior citizens who are uncomfortable with going online and who will need a lot of practice. There's a lot of people in our neighborhoods, and really the thing about technology is it's really easy unless you have no idea where to start. So what I would suggest is having a practice or even a class. You can have it online, but you can also, if you feel comfortable and if everyone feels comfortable, you can do it from a distance and maybe social distancing outside, projecting a screen onto the side of a building or a wall. You can print off little booklets that have a point-by-point how to log on to whatever platform you're using, how to solve problems, and pass them off to people. You can have a hotline number available for people, and that goes on with the little weekly events that you can host so that people can call in and ask questions for your neighborhood leaders. So what I have found though is what really helps are two things. A lot of times it's people who are having problems with the technology, they will ask their family members to help, to come in and log them in for the first time. If they don't have family members, if they tell you they don't have family members, then it's possible to find someone to work with them one-on-one to help them the first time. And usually the first time is the hardest because you have to, figure out what you're doing and you have to maybe download an actual program. But it's also important just to give them time, open up time before the meeting, have a special time allocated to practicing logging on and using all the features of the program, and then after that, things should move more smoothly.
Thank you very much, Allison, for that great answer, great response. If you have more questions, Allison put her email address and her telephone number, but our division email address is ocneighborhoods@ocfl.net. So that's O as in orange, C as in county, neighborhoods@ocfl.net. If you email us, we can get you copies of the presentation that Allison just gave and the earlier one given by the Health Services Department with Dr. Martinez. And then we can also help to engage you that way. Thank you, Allison, for that great presentation. Thank you, Doreen, for that very thoughtful question that spawned additional discussion. That concludes this workshop. We look forward to seeing you again in just a couple minutes where we will be doing our Checking In with Mayor Deming session.
Solar energy is clean, renewable, and increasingly becoming more affordable as the cost of PV panels, the key component in generating electricity from sunlight, continues to fall. If you are thinking of going solar, there are a few steps you should take before you make a purchase in order to establish realistic expectations. First, know your electric consumption numbers. Understanding the amount you pay for electricity and how much you consume is important when looking to install a solar PV system. Start by calculating your total electric consumption over the past 12 billing cycles. You can find this information on your bill, by calling customer service, or by logging into your MyOUC online account. Here, you can see your consumption data from the past 12 months. Add each month and then divide that number by 1,350 kilowatt hours to calculate the approximate size of the system you'd need in order to be net zero. Let's say you consumed a total of 12,825 kilowatt hours over the past 12 months. You would need approximately a 9.5 kilowatt solar PV system. We recommend requesting a free energy audit from OUC. A conservation specialist will work with you to determine if there are any existing opportunities for savings, available rebates, or any OUC programs that could help you reduce your consumption. The more you can reduce your consumption, the smaller the size of the PV system that's required, which can help you save money on your purchase. The next important step is to do your homework. Check out websites such as Google Project Sunroof, Department of Energy, the National Renewable Energy Laboratory PV Watts Calculator, and FSEC Energy Research Center for more information about whether you're a good candidate for solar. For Google Project Sunroof, you'll need to know the average cost of the electric portion of your bill to receive accurate information. OUC is committed to making solar affordable and accessible. Visit ouc.com/solar to learn more about the different solar programs OUC offers, including OU Collective Solar and OU Community Solar. The OU Collective Solar program is designed to make it easier and more affordable for homeowners to install PV panels on their roofs by utilizing OUC's buying power by working directly with ESA Solar. Once you're enrolled, ESA Solar takes care of everything from financing, engineering, procurement, construction, maintenance, and beyond. When you're ready to make the purchase, it's important to obtain multiple quotes. Consider obtaining at least 4 quotes before making a decision. A great place to start is our list of preferred contractors, which can be found on our website. After going through these 5 steps, you're ready to make an informed decision on purchasing a solar PV system. If you have any questions, please call 407-434-2263 or email green@ouc.com.
Today is our kickoff theme for the National Fire Protection Association's theme of Serve Up Fire Safety in the Kitchen. We're going to be focusing on fire safety in a residential kitchen and the steps that you can take to make it less significant of a fire should one occur, and the steps you can take to prevent a fire.
So we want to show people, first of all, how dangerous it is to leave anything unattended on the stove. But if they have a home with fire sprinklers, how that can save their lives and save their property. So our mission is to educate people on fire sprinklers and how they work.
October is the month that we try to stress fire safety nationwide. And so not only the kitchen, but we want to have the acronym EDIF, exit drills in the home. We want everybody to have 2 ways out of their home.
Make sure you're paying attention to what you're doing. You want to have your fire alarm set. You want to make sure your battery is working on the fire alarms, everything like that, smoke alarms, and just be aware of your surroundings, see what's going on.
Fire sprinklers buy time. Time buys life. And that's the biggest thing. One sprinkler normally would go off in a home fire. It goes off because it's activated by heat. 135 to 155 degrees, your sprinkler will go off. And only one sprinkler will contain that fire until the fire department comes, giving your family ample time to get out.
There's a misconception that there's going to be significant water damage. Fire causes far more damage than water damage, and so they are very reliable and are protecting the home 24/7. Fires can occur and get out of control rapidly, so we were just trying to stress today the importance of the safety in the kitchen and stay focused until all the burners are off and the meal's prepared.
Good morning again, and welcome back to the Orange County Community Conference. I'm joined by Mayor Jerry L. Demings for the Checking In with the Mayor Demings session. Mayor Demings was sworn into office on December 4th, 2018, and is the 5th elected mayor of Orange County and the first African-American mayor. His goals for Orange County are to turn this community into the experimental prototype community of tomorrow, creating a community that is innovative, collaborative, and inclusive. Always a trailblazer, Mayor Demings was the first African-American chief of police at the city of Orlando, and then became the first black sheriff at Orange County, of which he was elected in 2008, 2012, and 2016. A son of Orlando, Mayor Demings is married to the former Orlando police chief, Val Demings, who now serves in the United States Congress. Thank you, Mayor Demings, for joining us this morning.
Jason, it's always good to be here with you and participate in this community conference.
All right, Mayor Demings, so we were here 1 year ago. We were at the convention center, audience full of people, probably 200 people, and we started a discussion about the transportation initiative. Back then, that was, I think this would have been October, moving through it, quite a bit of public engagement, some findings. So we're here now 1 year later. Can you give us an update for those who are not actively tuned in? What's the update on the transportation initiative?
One of the things that I began to very quickly address after I took office as mayor was to address the traffic congestion and the lack of transportation connectivity here within our community. Our community was growing so rapidly at nearly 1,000 new residents each week. It really meant that if we did not have a strategic vision that we will continue to see our congestion worsen. So one of the things that we researched and we looked at all of the world-class communities that had the type of culture and environment that we all would want to desire. They all had a mass transit system. And the best way for us to address that was to have enacted a sales tax. And we were looking at a full penny sales tax that we were suggesting would be put on the ballot in November of this year. But of course, since then, we have seen a pandemic occur and a slowdown in our economy, which has resulted in a change of course for us at this time. I announced a few months ago that we would suspend our efforts to get that sales tax initiative on the ballot in 2020. We will have to look for a better day when our economy is doing much better in order to bring that back to the people. The beauty of the sales tax was that about 51% of the revenues would have been paid by all of the visitors who come here to the area who help to contribute to the congestion. And so now we have to rethink what we're doing. Many of our funding streams here within Orange County, in terms of our revenues, they're going to be depressed. I believe that our economy is not likely going to recover in the short term. It's going to be a U-shaped recovery as opposed to a V-shaped recovery that would indicate it would be a quick recovery. So I think that we're looking at a 3 to 5 year period of time before we could likely have that conversation again.
Okay, so back to the transportation issue. I know during the process there was a significant amount of public engagement and public outreach, and you might remember the number, but at one point you used to say you went to so many community. What was the community saying leading up to it?
We had over 200 different opportunities to engage with our community. We had town hall meetings across the community. I spoke to various professional associations, neighborhood groups, etc. Got a lot of feedback. We did a survey where we surveyed the residents of Orange County, and they told us what it was that they wanted to see funded if the sales tax initiative passed. We went to the various town council meetings, the city council meetings, presented to the various elected bodies here within Orange County. And so what they said to us, they wanted us to see an improvement in the links transit system. They wanted to see improvement with Sunrail. They wanted to see connectivity across the 1,000 square mile county. They wanted to see spurs coming off of this main Sunrail, this commuter rail line that we have that runs north and south primarily. They wanted spurs to go out east and west in our community so that they could get out of their cars. They wanted dependable transit so that when they would be commuting between home and work and back, they wanted a definitive time. They wanted to reduce the amount of time they spent wasting sitting in traffic. They wanted something that was environmentally sensitive to cut down on fuel emissions from automobiles, and all of that we would have been able to address, and the sales tax would have been bringing in significant dollars. It would have been perhaps a 20 to 30 year period of time that would have brought in billions to be able to adequately address the needs of our community for the here and now and well into the future.
And thinking into the future, thank you for that response, Mayor Demings. So obviously you mentioned the economic impact we're going through right now as a result of coronavirus. And you said this is going to be more like a U, meaning we're probably going to be at, say, the bottom for a little bit longer instead of a direct and come back up. You can't talk about economic impact without talking about housing. Again, last year, the Housing for All initiative was probably just concluding, and probably some things were, the task force was finishing up, and here we are again, 1 year. I would say that the needs may be slightly different as compared to last year in terms of housing, but we are still in a housing crisis. So It's been a year on from the Housing for All task force. Some things have been implemented. If you could give us an update about the Housing for All initiative, some of the things that have coming, some of the things that are coming, and some of the things that have been done.
Excellent question. What we have seen as we have grown as a community, we now have nearly 1.4 million people living here. Pre-pandemic, the last full year that we have numbers for, we had 75 million visitors that came here. All of that created opportunities and challenges for us. And so when we look at addressing the housing challenges, we can't adequately address housing without addressing transportation. We know that we had an estimate here within the region of 110,000 households that were chronically rent stressed, meaning that they were paying more than 30% of their total household income for rent payments. And we now see that because of the pandemic, there have been numerous layoffs where individuals are either underemployed or unemployed because of the layoffs and permanent furloughs, if you will, from many of our regional employers. So now that speaks to the issue of how soon will we recover, how soon will we be able to put individuals back to work. So what that also means is that individuals now, if they're out of work, are going to struggle with rent payments, with mortgage payments, because of the downturn in the economy itself. So we had put together a volunteer group of citizens here to look at the here and now as it relates to housing and make some projections and predictions and recommendations for how we would address housing going forward. That group of individuals came up with the Housing for All housing plan, which we have now adopted through the Board of County Commission. And that plan now says that within the next 10-year period of time, we intend to invest at a minimum $10 million from the county's general fund revenues to address the shortfall in housing funding, to help provide incentives and do other things that will assist us in addressing the housing shortage here within our area. So we are very optimistic that by addressing the Housing for All task force recommendations, we will be able to perhaps preserve and increase our housing stock by 30,000 homes within that period of time. So we have a plan of action that we've had to make some modifications to because of the downturn in the economy. But I believe that the fact that we created this Housing Trust Fund was very timely in helping our ability to be able to address the needs. So yes, I think that the current situation is probably going to be aggravated because of the slowdown in the economy. But we have a plan. We're using some CARES Act dollars to help retrain individuals here within our community. We are using CARES Act dollars to help provide eviction diversion funds for landlords and tenants. We are providing some individual and family crisis assistance through the CARES funds that we receive. And because we're a large county with a population of above 500,000, the federal government allowed us to have a direct allocation, and we received $243.2 million or so to specifically address the needs of our small businesses and families and individuals and even nonprofits here within this area. So we know that that's not enough to do everything that needs to be done, but it is certainly a start. It helps fill the gap between the present, where individuals are out of work, and perhaps when they will return to work, making and earning a decent living. So in the interim, we're continuing to try to diversify our economy. We're continuing to look for options of how we can better plan our communities so that individuals can save some money on the transit side. If they can save money on the transit side by living closer to where they work, There's more dollars available for them to be able to pay rent and mortgage payments and be able to live here within Orange County and ultimately maintain the quality of life that we have here. I believe we have a high quality of life, and our goal is to preserve that and improve that over time.
Thank you, Mayor Demings. And you touched on, you weave the housing into the CARES Act, but I want to spend a little bit more time talking about the CARES Act funding, because that pot of funding has been the lifeline for many of the residents and businesses of this community, whether that's through direct cash infusion or testing. So if you can elaborate a little bit more about, again, you said we're a large county, we got that funding, how it's been distributed, because I know very recently there was some allocated to arts organizations, nonprofit organizations. The business portal, I believe, is reopening again, or reopened. If you can talk a little bit more in depth about how that pot of funding, the CARES Act funding, has been just such a lifeline to many of our businesses and residents of this community.
Of the $243 million or so that we received in direct allocations, we have allocated the majority of those funds to support individuals and families. So that is our priority. And so we have done that by making available to households, for example, a stipend, if you will, of $1,000. We initially set aside $30 million to be able to do that. We anticipated assisting 30,000 different households by doing so. We essentially reached that goal, but we also had a portion of our funding that was set aside to assist our local governments, our municipalities here within Orange County. We had some savings there, and we were able to reallocate some funds. And so recently we announced on just the 12th of October, we reopened the portal for another $30 million round of crisis assistance for our individuals and families. We opened the portal on that day to a total of 10,000 potential applicants. Within 45 minutes, we had reached that capacity. And so we have, as the week has gone by, we have continued to process the applications. We will reopen the portal on October the 24th to 15,000 additional potential applicants where they can get the $1,000. We also are reopening our portal this coming week on the 19th for small business crisis assistance. We had set aside additional dollars to assist our small businesses here within the area, and so we have a $10,000 grant allocation for the second round, which means that we hope to expend about $7 million additional dollars, or 700 different businesses will benefit, small businesses here in our area with 100 or fewer employees from that. In addition, we have a micro grant program where we had set aside $3 million to assist home-based sole proprietorship types of businesses with small grants or micro grants up to $3,000. We have allocated over $2.2 million of the planned $3 million that we had set aside for that, with average stipends to small businesses or home-based businesses of about $2,400. We're reopening that portal as well, and so we have about 700,000, 650,000 to 700,000 that is available for the micro grant program, and we believe that we could assist as many as 700 additional home-based businesses. So with all of that, our main goal is to help provide some funding to fill the deficit of revenues that our individuals have coming into their households, that our businesses, our small businesses in particular, have coming into their small businesses. And we have, again, the eviction diversion program that has been established to try to keep people in their homes, to have tenants and landlords meet each other halfway through at least the end of this year, through December of 2020. We want to keep people in our homes. We believe that in the first quarter of 2021, we will begin to see some improvement, but more than likely in terms of the economic revenues here within our community, it'll be second quarter of 2021, the April, June period of time before we begin to see our convention business return, our leisure business return to any significant numbers. And I say that because it will likely be the first of the year before we have a vaccination, a vaccine that is widely available to residents throughout the U.S. itself. And so we here in Florida believe that it's going to take several months before the vaccinations will be widely available to our residents, and we can begin to see a return to some sense of normalcy where perhaps we're no longer wearing masks, the virus is no longer a significant threat because of the vaccination and or cures that may be available at that time. So I believe that we need to get through probably the first 6 months of 2021 before we are clearly out of the woods and backfiring on all cylinders in terms of our economic engine.
Well, Mayor Demings, from a piece of what I took from there is the need is great in this community. And through your vision and leadership, Orange County is positioning itself, or has positioned itself, to help residents and business of this community. I very much feel for some of the communities who maybe they didn't meet the threshold of Orange County, because I see all of the things that we are doing. And as a part of the team of people who works with the Small Business Assistance Grant, I'm getting the emails from people who are saying, this grant saved my business. This grant has allowed me to save my business, saved my entire organization, or saved my household. So on behalf of the business, I'm reading those emails. Thank you on behalf of them, because we also work with the small business as well, because this has been a lifeline for them. So yesterday at your press conference, you mentioned a task force that's going to be created, or a working group is going to be created soon. So the neighborhoods that we work with are the older transitioning neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. They usually deal with public safety related issues, and no, I wouldn't say crime, but just call them public safety related issues. In our last few minutes before we go to questions, if you would take a couple minutes and talk about the vision, or I guess why you felt that group was needed and your vision for that group.
This period of time that we're living in, this pandemic, has created a lot of stress for human beings. And as such, that creates that frustration sometimes will translate into people engaging in more violence. And so I believe that that will be one of the unintended byproducts of what we're living through right now. So here within our community, the law enforcement agencies are saying that we're seeing a spike in homicide, for example, here within our community within the last few months. We are seeing some gang violence. We have seen several teenagers shot and or killed as a result of gun violence. And so there's this outcry coming from throughout Orange County to try to look holistically at what can be done to prevent the rising tide that we see. So what we are going to do is impanel a citizens safety task force. That citizen safety task force will be made up of authentic, original people from our community who hopefully will cross the spectrum of being professionals to perhaps being crime victims themselves or the survivors of family members, if you will, of crime victims. We want young people engaged in that process. That group is, we're going to charge with coming up with a strategy, short-term and long-term, and that strategy will have 4 prongs: prevention, intervention, enforcement, and prosecution. If we can prevent crime from ever occurring by making certain that we provide all of those social needs and responses that a community, a high-quality, world-class community wants to see, that's what we want to do. We want to spend money on the front end as opposed to the back end. And so we have some ideas about it, but we're going to let the people of Orange County tell us what it is that they want to see as we address that issue holistically. So here very soon we'll announce the leadership and the membership of that group and allow them to do the work to come together to produce a template that we will use going forward, working with law enforcement, not working against law enforcement, but working with our education system, our social service agencies, our employment centers, our training centers, to make certain that we are adequately addressing the needs of our community.
Thank you, Mayor Demings. So now we're going to turn it over to Doreen, who has some questions to throw at you.
Yes, Mayor Demings, we have Rosalind from, she didn't say where she was from, but she's an Orange County resident, and she understands you have 5 grandchildren and wants to know your opinion on contact sports for youth and just kids playing in general right now during this time.
We have to be able to provide an outlet for our youth to be able to engage and live healthy lifestyles and get off the couch and put down the iPads and get outside. So we want to encourage that, but we certainly want to work with our parks and recreation, our school district, our social service providers, those youth sports organizations, to ensure that they are doing so safely. So we have endeavored to make certain that we provide personal protective equipment out into our community, hand sanitizer, that we are providing best practices regarding social distancing, and in some cases where we are providing additional sanitary protocols to make certain that those places where our children go are as clean as they possibly can be, that they are virus-free, and so that takes an intentional process to be able to deal with. And so for my grandchildren, 4 of them are under 18. I have one that is over 18. And so for them, we try to make certain that this community is as safe as it possibly can be. I believe that if it's safe for my family, it's safe for all of the families here within Orange County.
Great, thank you so much. We also have another question from a resident about the face covering mandate. Are you looking for certain positivity numbers or any benchmarks to ending that, or what is your gauge on that mandate?
We're at a good place right now because our 14-day average positivity rate has been hovering around 5%. Most of the experts tell us that when you're in that 5% range, essentially you have contained the virus within the community. However, we still do not have a vaccine for the virus. We do not have a cure. So if we are not focused on containing the virus within our community, it could quickly spread back within our community. So we have to continue to embrace the CDC guidelines for the next few months. And so in terms of the facial covering order, it will likely remain in place to allow us to run through the finish line. If we are not careful, if we relax the requirements too soon, what we will see is the numbers will begin to spike and adversely impact families and individuals. I do not want that for our community. So we monitor on a day-to-day basis our hospitalizations here within our community. We monitor the testing and the new cases that are reported. And because we have decided that we're going to reopen many of our businesses, our schools, et cetera, it has created a slight increase going forward. But I see great cooperation from the residents of Orange County who are continuing to wear the mask. They're doing so, by the way, even though we have a mandate in place, there are no penalties associated with if you do not wear the mask. And it is because of consumer confidence that people are continuing to wear the mask. We did a survey here in Orange County about what our citizens wanted to see, and that was one of the things that they wanted to see in our community. And so by and large, our residents are buying into the wearing of facial coverings today. And I have to applaud our community for being resilient and also being focused on getting through this pandemic.
Doreen, I think we have time for one more question.
Yes, we have one more question from Virginia. She says that overdevelopment is a huge issue in Orange County, and how is the county protecting the environment and the impact on traffic?
Orange County has a plan, a 2040 plan for making certain that we do address the environmental issues that we have. That plan is posted online. I would invite any of our residents to be able to go to the Orange County website to view the plan of action. But we hired this past year, we hired our first chief sustainability and resiliency officer here so that we have a focus on that effort. We are continuing to acquire conservation lands and protecting what we have now. We are engaging in a program to have septic to sewer conversions here within Orange County, where we're looking at some of our pristine water bodies such as the Wekiwa Springs area, and we're working with the district commissioner and the state of Florida Department of Environmental Protection to really begin to address the septic to sewer conversions, and we will be doing that countywide. We're looking at water conservation measures that we have put in place. We put an ordinance requiring banning of certain plastics when we are using and selling food at our various county facilities, such as the convention center. So we're being proactive in that regard.
Thank you, Mayor Demings. Thank you, Doreen, for those great questions. Mayor Demings, it is always a pleasure to sit down and talk to you about what's going on in the community, particularly at this community conference. We look forward to doing this again next year in a different setting, back in the audience with 200-300 people. We'll look back at 2020 and say, it was tough, but we got through it. Do you have any closing remarks in the last few seconds you'd like to spread to our community?
You can see I'm wearing this facial covering. It says safer, stronger together. I want our Orange County residents to remember that as a community, when we work together, our community can become that environmental, sensitive and experimental prototype community of tomorrow that Walt Disney envisioned. So again, if we stay focused, we're safer, stronger together. Thank you, Jason, for hosting this conference. We look forward to continue serving our residents in the future.
Solar energy is clean, renewable, and increasingly becoming more affordable as the cost of PV panels, the key component in generating electricity from sunlight, continues to fall. If you're thinking of going solar, there are a few steps you should take before you make a purchase in order to establish realistic expectations. First, know your electric consumption numbers. Understanding the amount you pay for electricity and how much you consume is important when looking to install a solar PV system. Start by calculating your total electric consumption over the past 12 billing cycles. You can find this information on your bill, by calling customer service, or by logging into your MyOUC online account. Here, you can see your consumption data from the past 12 months. Add each month and then divide that number by 1,350 kilowatt hours to calculate the approximate size of the system you'd need in order to be net zero. Let's say you consumed a total of 12,825 kilowatt hours over the past 12 months. You would need approximately a 9.5 kilowatt solar PV system. We recommend requesting a free energy audit from OUC. A conservation specialist will work with you to determine if there are any existing opportunities for savings, available rebates, or any OUC programs that could help you reduce your consumption. The more you can reduce your consumption, the smaller the size of the PV system that's required, which can help you save money on your purchase. The next important step is to do your homework. Check out websites such as Google Project Sunroof, Department of Energy, the National Renewable Energy Laboratory PV Watts Calculator, and FSEC Energy Research Center for more information about whether you're a good candidate for solar. For Google Project Sunroof, you'll need to know the average cost of the electric portion of your bill to receive accurate information. OUC is committed to making solar affordable and accessible. Visit ouc.com/solar to learn more about the different solar programs OUC offers, including OU Collective Solar and OU Community Solar. The OU Collective Solar program is designed to make it easier and more affordable for homeowners to install PV panels on their roof by utilizing OUC's buying power by working directly with ESA Solar. Once you're enrolled, ESA Solar takes care of everything from financing, engineering, procurement, construction, maintenance, and beyond. When you're ready to make the purchase, it's important to obtain multiple quotes. Consider obtaining at least 4 quotes before making a decision. A great place to start is our list of preferred contractors, which can be found on our website. After going through these 5 steps, you're ready to make an informed decision on purchasing a solar PV system. If you have any questions, please call 407-434-2263 or email green@ouc.com.
We're here at the Orlando Science Center to talk about why face masks are important, because they allow me to protect you while you protect me. But they're not good for everything. For instance, they're not very good at blowing bubbles. They're also not very good at brushing your teeth. Or blowing out birthday candles. Masks are also not very good for stopping to smell the flowers. And they are really not good for putting on lipstick. But what masks are really good for is preventing respiratory droplets or spit from traveling long distances when you cough, sneeze, or even laugh, which keeps you and everyone around you safe. So I protect you while you protect me. It's basic science. For more information on how masks keep you safe, please visit www.ocfl.net/we-got-you-covered. This message brought to you by your friends at Orange County Government and the Orlando Science Center.
Welcome back and good morning. Thank you for continuing to spend your morning with us. College football still has not started, so we shouldn't have lost anybody. And some of the soccer games from this morning have ended, some are still going, so we're glad you're still watching with us this morning. We're confident that we fulfilled your expectations and the content brought to you this morning was of value. We heard from Mr. Tim Ayers, who gave a very, in my mind, motivating and inspiring talk to neighborhood and community leaders. We heard from Dr. Martinez, Ms. Sullivan, and Dr. Zuver from the Health Services Department, and they gave us a lot of great information regarding the pandemic, medical information, and what we can be doing and what has been done. Of course, we heard from Allison Rice, who spoke about how we can continue to engage with each other in a social distanced world, and are the projects we can do. And lastly, thank you, Mayor Demings, for being here, updating everyone about what happened with the Transportation Initiative, housing, our economy, the CARES Act funding, and just a number of great things that are going on in this community. I hope that you are prepared to take this information back to your community members and let them know what you heard here so that the information doesn't stop with you. We'll now transition to the Community Awards section of our program. We want to recognize the talents and accomplishments of the residents and community leaders from across Orange County. We have a scoring team who looked at the many applications we received across our 3 categories, which are the Monica Harris Spires Excellence in Leadership Award, the Clean and Attractive Neighborhood Award, and the Excellence in Neighborly Service Award. We received a score of announcements of people who wanted to participate. The Monica Harris Spires in Leadership Award, which is our first one, is in honor of Monica Harris Spires, a dedicated community leader. Monica was a member of the Neighborhood Services Division and was a community leader. She was a member of the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, the American Cancer Society Relay for Life co-event chair, and the 2009 Orange County Public Schools Volunteer of the Year. Monica thrived on helping others and giving back to this great community. On October 15, 2012, Monica passed away 2 weeks after giving birth to her twins. She left a profound legacy in this community and a positive impact. In honor of Monica, we created the Monica Harris Spires Excellence in Leadership Award. This award recognizes the dedication and commitment of neighborhood leaders and their unwavering efforts to improve their community. This year's Monica Harris Spires Excellence in Leadership Award goes to Miss Rosalind Plowden of the Hiawatha Highlands Neighborhood Association. Our next award is the Clean and Attractive Neighborhood of the Year Award. It's designated to encourage residents to do things in their community to beautify their communities. You heard a little bit from Allison about things that neighborhoods can do. Well, we have programs in our office that can help to facilitate those activities. And this award recognizes an organization who went above and beyond to make sure their neighborhood and community are beautiful and getting residents involved. This year's Clean and Attractive Neighborhood of the Year Award goes to the Evans Community Partnership School and their director, Alexandra Turnley. And next, our last of our community awards is the Excellence in Community Building Projects for activities that are initiated by an organization to improve the physical and social environment of a community. Much of the hard work that residents do in this community go unseen. We understand that. And this category provides a means to recognize and reward residents who are going above and beyond and unsung heroes. This award goes to a community, and the winner of this year's Excellence in Community Building Projects Award is the Hiawatha Highlands Neighborhood Association. And continuing to our Citizen of the Year Awards, now we want to recognize residents who definitely understand how and what it means to lead by example. The mayor and each commissioner select a Citizen of the Year Award, which is a resident from across the community, for their commitment to better Orange County. It is a great honor to receive the Citizen of the Year Awards. This award recognizes those who are dedicated individuals who continue to diligently work to improve Orange County. This goes to either a person or an organization, and we recognize them for their professional or their personal, or in many cases, and or their volunteer contributions. So we'll start with recognizing our District 1 Citizen of the Year. Over the past 23 years, the District 1 Citizen of the Year, which is an organization, has raised thousands of dollars to benefit the community through scholarships and donations for agricultural education and beautification. Additionally, their membership has invested millions, that's millions of volunteer hours for the betterment of the community through these activities. Some of their projects include co-sponsoring the City of Winter Garden in their annual Spring Fever in the Garden Festival, creating and establishing the Path of Life, which is a meditation memorial garden along in the Chapin Station along the West Orange Trail, and planting 1,000 trees for 1,000 years at the Tucker Ranch, which is in Winter Garden. I would like to recognize this year and congratulate this year's District 1 Citizens of the Year, the Bloom and Grow Garden Society. Our District 2 Citizen of the Year has spent endless hours researching and interviewing historic figures to compile historical information for a holistic approach to environmental sites in District 2. In conjunction with Commissioner Moore, which is a District 2 commissioner, she aided in the outreach of driving tours, which is a series of tours that will impact residents and senior citizens for decades. The driving tours was a creative way for residents to leave their homes safely in the pandemic by driving from area to area. To congratulate our District 2 Citizen of the Year, Ms. Lee Blackwelder Burritt. Congratulations, Ms. Burritt. Our District 3 Citizen of the Year, nominated by Commissioner Myra Uribe, is a strong leader in the community. As president of the Azalea Park Safe Communities, she has organized the community, increased participation, and has even started the first National Night Out event. Her leadership, commitment, and love for Azalea Park is contagious. She involves the youth, embraces residents, and has personally created an environment that is inclusive and warming. This year's District 3 Citizen of the Year is Miss Virginia Bruton. And that's the Virginia who's been asking questions all morning. Congratulations, Miss Bruton. Our District 4 Citizen of the Year, as nominated by Commissioner Gomez Cordero, is the CEO of the Nuevo Sendero Incorporated. The mission of that organization is to restore and encourage victims of domestic violence and sexual abuse to become self-sufficient and proceed to a healthier future. Nuevo Sendero has assisted more than 1,000 women in Central Florida in combating and confronting domestic violence and sexual abuse. Join me in congratulating Ms. Diana Mejia, the District 4 Citizen of the Year. Continuing on to our District 5 Citizen of the Year, nominated by Commissioner Emily Bonilla, the District 5 Citizen of the Year has committed much of her life to improving the environment, the health of our community. She's established relationships with public servants, on the national, state, and county level, and uses these relationships to improve the lives of those around her. In her previous life, she served as the director of Rollins College Crummer Executive MBA program located in District 5, and during her tenure, that executive MBA program was ranked as the #1 program in the state of Florida. Join me in congratulating Ms. Jennifer Anderson, the District 5 Citizen of the Year. Our District 6 Citizen of the Year, as nominated by Commissioner Victoria Siplin, was once an Orange County employee. Since retiring, she has dedicated her time and efforts to District 6 and has been an invaluable resource to her neighbors. She was instrumental in securing a traffic signal at a very busy intersection, Oak Ridge and Chancellor Drive, to relieve traffic obstruction and help with some of the public safety concerns regarding traffic that community was experiencing. The District 6 Citizen of the Year identified a problem that negatively impacted her community and worked with the Commissioner and Orange County staff to alleviate that problem. Please join me in congratulating Ms. Debbie Smith as the District 6 Citizen of the Year. And lastly, our Mayor's Distinguished Citizen of the Year, this is a board-certified physician who practices general pediatrics in the Pine Hills community. As a champion of the pediatric mental and health care, she provides a standard of care that enriches the lives of thousands of kids and parents across this community. Additionally, she is committed to the overall health and well-being of underserved in this community and those affected by health inequalities. She proudly supports the Orenell Foundation and serves as the executive board member on the executive board. The Orenell Foundation is dedicated to removing hunger as a learning barrier by acting on the mission of all children have access to food every day currently. The Orenell Foundation works with 12 local schools to serve more than 5,000 children and their families. As a testament to her strong advocacy to this community, she's been awarded the Health Empowerment Award by the Central Florida Urban League and the Public Health Hero Award by the Orange County Department of Health. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Candace Jones as the Mayor's Distinguished Citizen of the Year Award. As that concludes our awards and we are moving into the end of our program here today, I would like to thank several key people who made this day a success. This year's thank yous and appreciation are a little bit deeper, are a little bit more meaningful because of what we had to do to get here. Several months ago, we knew that we had to pivot to a different type of a conference. Back, I would say, we made this decision to go virtual when many organizations were canceling conferences, but we knew it was vital that we had to get information to our community. So we didn't want to cancel, we had to pivot. And first of all, I'd like to thank the Mayor Demings and the Board of County Commissioners who make this conference possible in the in-person format and in the virtual format. Our county government is a major contributor and we could not do this without them. At first, I'd like to also thank our sponsors, Florida Community Loan Fund and OUC, the reliable one. They continue to see value in the work that we do and continue to support us as we're going through that. I'd like to thank Mr. Timothy Ayers as our keynote speaker, who brought a very meaningful and timely topic. Our speakers, Mayor Jerry L. Demings, Dr. Yolanda Martinez, Dr. Christian Zuver, Danielle Sullivan, and Allison Rice. Orange County Communications, I can't say enough great things about Orange County Communications. I can't list people by name because I would inevitably forget someone, but when we brought this idea to them, their immediate thought was, great, let's see how we can do that. And that's the type of collaboration we need to bring these types of programs. Orange TV, they're the folks who are bringing this to you. They're going above and beyond. They're making me look good up here by broadcasting all of this, broadcasting this. Again, when we met with them to discuss this, the immediate thought was, great, let's see how we can make this work. The neighborhood services staff, those are on a regular day, you would see them running around, implementing this conference. They are when we thought this out and we came with the ideas, everyone pitched in. This is truly a group effort. You may see me on the stage, but this is truly a group effort to make this conference a success. And lastly, and most importantly, in my opinion, is Tiana Davis. Tiana Davis coordinates this conference and puts in just a tremendous amount of time and effort to making this conference a success. Many times people ask Tiana, is the conference your only job? Well, no, the conference is piece of Tiana's job. And granted, this is a year-round planning effort. Tiana continues to put the pieces in place to make this conference a success. We had a lot of great information given to you all today, and it's been a pleasure to meet with you all. any of the presentations or anything you'd like a copy of, please send an email to ocneighborhoods@ocfl.net. That's O as in orange, C as in county, neighborhoods@ocfl.net. It's been a pleasure to spend the morning with you all today. I look forward to seeing you next year in person at our community conference, where we can get back to our normal way of life. But until then, Orange County, continue to be safe, continue to work with one another, and it's been a pleasure to be here with you all this morning.